You wanted answers? You will get them. Roster locks, rising stars, and the future of A's baseball. Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Booney. One name, all passion, and I've been riding with this squad for 4 decades now. And let me tell you, the A's aren't just some scrappy underdog anymore. We are the storm rolling in. From Ricky to the Bash Brothers, from the Big Three to the Vegas Blueprint, this franchise has always found a way to flip the script. And right now, these kids are turning MLB upside down, and the rest of the league cannot stand it. Stick around. We are building a desert dynasty, and you do not want to be late to the party. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. And if you are in Nevada, catch Locked On A's Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Silver State Sports and Entertainment, Digital Channel 5.2, and Cox Cable Channel 77. In this live edition of Locked On A's, I'm going to take you on a full throttle ride through the highs and lows of the 2025 season, the turning points, the breakout players, and the moments that hinted at a bright future. I will dissect the performances that define the year and look ahead to who's ready to lock down a roster spot in 2026, from the bullpen's power arms to the young hitters knocking on the door. Then it's all about the farm. Well, where will the A's top prospects start in 2026? Vegas, Midland, Lansing, or Stockton? And which ones could crash the big league party sooner than expected? Finally, I'm going to get a little personal tonight and share with you how I became a diehard A's fan and why this franchise's story still fuels my fire decades later. What's your story? How did you become a diehard A's fan? It's reflection, projection, and a whole lot of green and gold conviction. Live, raw, and unfiltered. And today, I got a co-pilot. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Aaron, what is up, my friend?
How are you, sir? Good to be here.
Good, man. Good. So, lifelong A's fan, huh?
Yes, sir. I have been a fan since Ricky's second full season in the Bigs. That's 1981 for your older, gray-haired or no-haired listeners. So
that's exactly
man,
when I started too. Exact same year.
Yeah, man.
I was crying as a baby when Bob Boone was throwing them out like crazy when he was going for the record. That just absolutely just shook me. But yeah, when he was number 35, remember?
Yes, sir.
35, that was the number, man. We'll get to it later, obviously. But what brought me, so I'm from the Bay Area, the Peninsula. If anyone knows anything about the Bay Area, this is Giants territory. So growing up, all my friends, everyone I went to school with, were Giants fans. Well, the first thing I noticed when I was growing up, I'm like 6, 7 years old, is the first player I knew was Reggie Jackson. But at that time, he was with the Yanks, and he left the A's. The next thing you knew was Billy Martin and the kicking on the dirt and all that stuff. But when I started learning about baseball, remember, the Giants were terrible. I started watching their games, and there was no DH, right? So I was like, hold on. I mean, they were so bad. You get to the number 7 hitter, they couldn't hit. And then you get to the pitcher spot, it sucked. Versus the A's in those 81 teams, you had Dwayne Murphy in center. You had Tony Armas, who was so damn good in right. And you had Ricky in left. So that's what kind of got me to be an A's fan to start with. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, that 81 team was what hooked me in. And one of the you mentioned the outfield, and one of the real draws for me was the starting rotation. Obviously, you remember that staff with Mike Norris, Rick Langford, Matty Keough, Steve McCaddy,
McCaddy.
and Brian Kingman in 1980, the year before, they had completed 94 games of 162 starts, and they won 11 straight to start the 81 season. And I was hooked, man. It was great uniforms, colorful players.
Best uniforms ever. Best color combination, the best
awesome.
hats, the best everything. And the Coliseum back then was a gem. Was an absolute gem.
Always rocking.
2025. What's your thoughts? Did you go to any games? What'd you think of Sutter? What'd you think of the whole experience and everything that had to go on with the A's this year?
2025 was equal parts weird.
Yeah.
Kind of wonderful at times.
Yeah, right.
Exciting, exhilarating. I did go to Sutter Health Park. I think I was there for 4 games this year. I went on opening night at the end of March. I went in July for the Lawrence Butler bobblehead. Wasn't going to miss that.
Okay.
And I went for the last 2 games of the season against Kansas City back in September. And I think on the whole, the season was a net positive for the A's. 76 wins, a 9-game improvement over last year. You can't talk about 2025 without talking about that horrific stretch in May where they lost 20 of 21. But you bookend that with a roughly 500 start, and this was when they were coming out of the gates playing the Cubs, the Padres, and the Mets at home. Real rough start to the home schedule. They came out of that the first 6 weeks about 500. They hit that really rough patch, and then they finished really, really strong. And it's different than just being optimistic about the numbers, right? The players, a lot of them step forward. Obviously, you got Nick Kurtz with this tremendous breakout. Brent Rooker continuing doing what he does best, and younger players taking big steps forward to show, the potential, the hope for 2026. So I think on the whole, 2025 was a net positive. Some hiccups, some stumbling blocks. Some guys probably struggled a little bit more than you and I expected them to. But on the whole, I think 2025 was a good season for this team that is very much in transition.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had a lot of hopes for the A's going into the season. I think that might have been a little bit of my fan talking. And I mean, here's what's ironic about it. Beginning of the season, I picked the A's to win the AL West. I thought they were good enough. And again, that might have been a little beat, but here's what's funny about it. Going into the year, I said what the A's need or should be worried about going into the season. Now, I didn't even consider Kurtz at that time, right? He was still in the minor leagues. We don't know how he's going to develop. This was going into opening day. My big concerns was Jacob Wilson and Tyler Soderstrom.
Yep.
Because Jacob Wilson ended 2025 not the best, and Soderstrom had an awful spring training. It was like something like 3 for 36.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my concern. So in other words, they didn't end up obviously coming close to winning it, but it had nothing to do with Soderstrom, and Wilson ended up being just absolutely dynamic, and Kurtz was something else as well. I did think Andahar was going to be really, really good, which he was, and then obviously got dealt at the deadline.
Yep.
And I don't know what to make of that. What was it? Is my favorite moment of the year was the walk-off against Seattle when they went 20-16, that tournament of 2016. It was game 1 on that Monday night against Seattle. Wilson walked them off, I think, in 10. They pulled within 1 game of first that day.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite memory?
Yeah, I do. It's coincidentally enough, the star of that memory is currently in the playoffs. He's going to be pitching Game 5 for Detroit when the A's played Tarek Skubal.
That was fun.
The Tigers came to town. They were riding high, and they came into Sacramento and the A's swept them. And they took on Skubal, and that was the game you might remember. I think early in the game, the Sutter Health people accidentally set off the light show on a foul ball that they thought was a home run. And Skubal was really irked about it, and he kind of gestured to the guys in the booth as he was leaving the field. And then the A's came back and won the game. Langoliers just hit a bomb to just chase Skubal out of the game. And in a lot of ways, I'm not a big the season is 162 games, and I'm a big believer in momentum carrying over from one year to the next. But that really kind of set the tone. The A's were great in the second half anyway, but that really set the tone for what they were going to be. The Cincinnati Reds came in later in the summer, chasing a wild card spot. A's swept them. I mean, they did not shrink from that spoiler role. And I know it's kind of tough. It's a bit of damning with faint praise.
Sure.
Okay, they're spoilers, right? They're not going to make the playoffs. But no, they took teams that were playoff contenders, and they went toe-to-toe with them and played their best ball of the season against them. So, yeah, for me, that school game in August against Detroit was just a real best foot forward moment, top to bottom, for the team.
And I just
think that's if they can, build off of that in this offseason and what they showed, I think good things are ahead.
Bill, since Boone will be fired, baby, he can play third base next year. Well, Bill, right after this break, bud, I'm going to give you an idea of who I think is going to be on the 26 and 40-man roster. Aaron will definitely give me his feedback and see what he thinks and what needs to be changed, and I'm sure you will as well. I'll see you guys in a minute. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have got a little something riding on the action. Whether you are a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Aaron, I'm going to pop up my 26-man and 40-man roster. I'm going to start with who I think is going to start, maybe platoon. You give me your thoughts, what you agree with, what you don't, and we'll go on from there. What's up, Gene? What did I miss? All right, here we go. So here's what I got. I got left field automatic. I got Soderstrom in left field. Denzel and Lawrence Butler, I have platooning in center field, right? And again, with Butler, you can easily send him to right field. Rooker, I put in right field, but obviously we know that he's going to be an everyday DH. But in other words, what I see happening, I got Cortez, Butler, and Clark rotating some way, somehow. Either it's going to be Denzel in center, Butler in right, or Butler in center, Cortez in right, and every now and then you got Rooker in right field playing defense. Third base, I got Max Muncy. He's playing in the Arizona Fall League right now. 2 for 7, hit a home run yesterday. Not bad. I'm high on Muncy. Obviously, he was hurt towards the end of the year. Brett Harris, if he could get his bat going, I mean, this may be an overstatement here, Aaron, but I think Brett Harris right now is a poor man's Matt Chapman. Glove-wise, he's a Gold Glover. If he can get that bat going, look out. Jacob Wilson, obviously, at shortstop. With regard to second base, Hernandez, I think Hernandez is going to take the spot of Matt Schumann, right? That super utility guy. You could see him playing second, short, third. He can do all sorts of things. And who I'm rooting for, if this team really wants to take the next step, we need the second half of 2023 Zach Geloff, right? Defensively, Gold Glove caliber. Nick Kurtz, obviously, at first base. With regard to pitching, you're going to have to go Severino and Springs just to lead things off. They're the guys getting paid. I got Lopez Morales, and I got Gunnar Hoglund in the 5th spot. JT Ginn and Brady Basso, I got competing for one of the starting jobs, and I could even have Jack Perkins there. Right now, I have Jack Perkins as the closer. Hogan Harris, Newcomb, we got to re-sign Newcomb. Sterner, Ferguson, Michael Kelly, and I got Shea and McIver behind the dish. What do you like?
Wow, you took me aback there with Perkins as the closer. That's an interesting.
Well, remember,
spin.
he was when he first came. He was doing a little bit of closing when that whole Miller deal was going on and getting traded. So, and he has great stuff, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I think as we head into the offseason and look into 2026, just starting from the outfield and working our way towards the infield, Soderstrom just blew me away. I was his biggest critic as he learned to play left field through no fault of his own. The A's kind of put him out there out of necessity, and damned if he did not become a extremely serviceable left fielder who made very good plays throughout the season as the season wore on. And the bat, which kind of cooled during the summer, got white hot again the last 6 weeks. I think as he got more comfortable out in left. So he's a lock, I think, in left field. And
Sure.
It would not surprise me in the least if the A's approached him with the same kind of deal that they gave Butler last offseason. He's a keeper, absolutely. The rest of the outfield, I think, is going to be a weird little mix because the reality is that I think they got too many bodies out there right now.
Too many guys that are just okay.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean? Denzel, obviously great defensively, but bat to be announced. Butler, what Butler are we going to get? And then, you know what I mean? So a lot of guys that are just okay. They're good enough to get you beat. They're not, you know what I mean? I think we need another one out there that's just helps us turn the corner.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, Clark would play center. The glove is just so breathtakingly great that I think he has to play every day. But to your point, the bat's got to come. And the irony is that he really, it's an exceedingly small sample size, but the last about a dozen or so plate appearances before he got hurt, he was really starting to come along and make some gains. And he hit, I don't know if it held up over the course of the season, but he hit what at the time was the longest home run of 2025 for the A's. I think it was over that 4th of July weekend against the Giants. So the guy's got just light tower power when he wants to, when he connects. But obviously therein lies the rub. And then Butler, hugely disappointing year. I think I was really taken aback by his aggressiveness early in the season. He really was just chasing.
He wasn't he?
Any and everything. And I think as he got kind of farther into the season, he fell into that trap of guys who try to hit their way out of a slump, and it just kind of begat bad habits over bad habits. He came on late, and I know he was dealing with that patellar tendon injury in the knee. So hopefully after the surgery he had and an off season of kind of focusing on the areas where he really needs to improve, he was just helpless against left-handed pitching. And if that doesn't improve,
we got a problem.
Yeah, it's no bueno. So hopefully that comes along and he kind of reestablished himself as the right fielder. The biggest question marks on this team, I think you highlighted him, second base and third base. I love Max Muncy, ton of swagger.
He sure does, doesn't he?
He was hitting the ball really well before he hurt his hand. I think he was slugging something like 585 after he got recalled from Vegas once he was sent down. If he can kind of keep that going, he's not that kind of a hitter, not that kind of power, but if he can just build off that, I could see you plugging and playing him either at second base or at third base. Love Brett Harris. That glove, I mentioned this online and social media. That glove plays every day. It's incredible, but the bat's got to get there. And as it stands right now, he's kind of a backup. He plays some first base as well. Bench piece, absolutely late in the defensive replacement type. So there's value there. Everyday player value, probably not. I'm with you 100% on Darell Hernandez. He's an exciting player. But at this stage of his career, he's looking like a utility guy. Second, short, and third, playing everywhere.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah. No, there's no shade against him. Yeah. Like you said, he's essentially Max Schumann at this point. And you could play in intermittently for an injured guy or something, but that's kind of who he is. Nick Kurtz obviously needs no introduction. That dude.
No, he doesn't. That was
an
easy one.
Yeah. And like with Shea Langoliers, he's so confounding to me because he slugged something like 550 or whatever it was, but the on-base percentage still isn't great. Batting average still isn't great. I've never personally been all that impressed. He's got a bazooka for an arm, but defensively
hasn't been great. No, he hasn't. I mean, that's a bazooka for him. I mean, he's thrown a lot of balls in center field. He's had a few pass balls. But is that something else?
Throwing out of runners this past season wasn't good, and these are things he's supposed to be really, really good at. But he's, again, there's catchers who hit 30+ home runs is nothing to sneeze at. So he's locked in, and that's not a bad thing. The starting pitching, I mean, I think that's kind of where 2026 is going to begin and end. Severino, I don't know, man. He came on strong, and I was glad that he kind of stopped chirping about Sacramento, because I don't really think that benefited anybody to have him continually run down their home ballpark. Everybody knows it's a crap situation. Everybody knows it's temporary. He's paid handsomely to lead this staff, and I think that's what his focus needs to be on. I would not be terribly surprised if a team approached the A's and sniffed around Severino if the A's didn't listen. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he was back leading the rotation in 2020.
If he's going to be on the roster, there's no way he's not going to be at $22 million a year. You know, that still means something, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think, and I was talking about this earlier in the season. I think the hook with him is, you'd have to kind of staple a prospect or an established talent if you wanted to move him.
With that salary, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah, the contract is burdensome, is cumbersome. He's got health concerns from the past. He was healthy for most of the year, had that little hiccup late in the season. But the rest of the rotation, a lot of placeholders, I think, for guys who are coming up behind them. Springs was what he was. I think he finished.
He was what he was. Good call.
Yeah, something like 11-11. Lopez was
4.05 ERA. Yeah. Lopez was a surprise.
Yeah, big surprise. And I did not see that coming. I don't think anybody did. And he was crafty. He was shifty out there. He wasn't necessarily blowing guys away, but he was striking everybody out. And it was terrific to see. The guy from this past season that I'm super excited about is Luis Morales. That kid's stuff is pure filth. And I cannot wait to see, after an off season, getting stronger, Major League Camp in March in Mesa. I'm really excited to see, what that kid can do. He's one of those guys I can see being one of the anchors of the next really, really good A's pitching staff. So I'm super excited to see what he does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Aaron, when we come back here, I want to go through the rest of the 40-man and who I had on the bubble and see if you think there's any changes out there, who should be flip-flopped. There was a couple I went 50-50 on. Wasn't sure if I made the right call, and I'm sure, hey, as the offseason continues, this is going to change probably about 30 more times, but that's baseball. All right, see you in a minute. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. If you are looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiette's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effect can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. Hey, Aaron, I just read the ads, okay? I just read the ads. Okay? All right. So I want to go through the rest of the 40-man and the 60-man. I had a couple 50-50s. I wasn't sure with who I left off. And, on this, I didn't put on the 40-man. And a few of the 40-mans that could have easily flip-flopped to the 26. Let's take a look. All right, so here's what I got. The individuals in black and green are on the 40-man. Didn't make the starting 26. And the individuals in white are simply didn't make the 40-man roster at all. All right, here's where I had a little bit of issues. Elvis Alvarado was okay. I didn't have him on the 26-man roster. I mean, who do you really put him in place of? Michael Kelly, who was solid, at Justin Sterner. I don't know where him or Nunez fit in. Here's somebody, Luis Medina. How's he going to look? He's supposed to be ready by spring training. Ben Bowden, don't got a whole lot of lefties. Could he be there? Osvaldo Bido, I almost didn't even put on the 40-man. As far as I'm concerned, DFA him. Gustavo Rodriguez, he went from high A Lansing to double A to triple A Vegas and was literally unhittable. Why he didn't get any type of call-up is beyond me. Keep an eye on him. Grant Holman was lights out at the beginning of the season, and then he was part of that bullpen that absolutely imploded. We got Max Schumann, JJ Bleday. I hope JJ Bleday is that guy, and I could see him getting traded. Henry Bolte, big-time prospect. You talk about a five-tool guy. Colby Thomas showed sparks. Daniel Susac is going to need to come up sometimes this year, or he will be eligible for the Rule 5 draft. Leo DeVries, of course, we all know who he is, and Junior Perez. Now, guys, I didn't have making the 40-man at all. Henry Baez, who we got in the he was part of the Mason Miller trade from the Padres. Mason Barnett. Jamie Arnold I struggled with. And the reason why I didn't put Jamie Arnold on the 40-man is I just took the same route as Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz wasn't on the 40-man roster to start this season at all. And obviously they made room for him quickly. Mitch Spence, Mikel Otanez was so good for us in 2024, and just injuries when he was in AAA, he wasn't that guy. Gage Jump, Braden Nett, one of the top prospects in the Mason Miller trade. Of course, we know Gage Jump. Duran, Maldonado, Austin Wins, who was great as a backup catcher. Keep your eye out on Clark Elliott from Michigan. Tommy White, Shane McGuire, smooth catcher out of University of San Diego, and Brian Lastivita from AAA. Caught on late to AAA and tore it up. And, of course, Alejo Lopez. Which ones you disagree with? What do you see going on with the 40-man and the 60-man?
The first name that jumps out at me is JJ Bleday. He's gone. I think he is pretty much worn out his welcome. I don't know what happened. He was a rock-solid 40-double, 2-win player in 2024, which is probably his ceiling. And this, again, that's nothing, no knock on him. He was a solid contributing center fielder in 2024, and he regressed in absolutely every way, shape, and form in 2025. And I just scratched my head when I watched him at times on the major league roster. He looked like a completely different player, just lost on defense, hopeless on offense.
Do you remember when he came back from AAA Vegas, and I think it was Washington? He went on like an 8-for-9 streak. I'm like, he's back. And then he turns it around and goes like 1 for his next 22.
He played. He started at the last game of the season in Sacramento against Kansas City, and he had a couple of defensive miscues out in right. I think he was playing.
Didn't look interested.
And it really, it was just really jarring. I really kind of thought this kid was if not going to be a superstar, just a solid contributor for a few years. And he is the quintessential change of scenery guy. I think he can still be a contributor somewhere. It's just not going to be with the A's. The rest of the 40-man, the hypothetical 40-man that you got, set up here. I'm with you on guys like Alvarado and Nunez, guys who looked alternately great and just, head scratchingly frustrating because their stuff absolutely plays in the high 90s, but you got to throw it for strikes, guys. You can't go to 3-2 counts on every hitter and have them sitting dead red because it's a sucker's bet up there. I know that Luis Medina guy was throwing some bullpens late in the season.
Yeah, he was
with the A's, and he's another guy. I believe he's out of options, just like Blade is. He's out of options, so if he's healthy at spring training in March, he's really going to have to put his best foot forward. I can't imagine the A's having a whole lot of patience with who he was before the unfortunate injury. He was another guy that would go out there, give you 4 1/3 innings, walk 6, strike out 7.
Yeah.
And that was all we had on that 112 loss 2023 A's team. But 2026, they've got or will have playoff aspirations. So they can't, be as patient and nurturing as they were the last go round with Medina. And, the rest of the kids, I'm with you on a lot of them. Colby Thomas, I love the athleticism. I love the bat speed. He's probably a 4th outfielder at this point. But there's absolutely value in keeping him there and seeing if he could become something more. Susac, he's unfortunately a catcher, which is a loaded position for us right now with Langoliers. And the bat hasn't come along, I think, as a lot of people thought it would with Susac, but I don't see any reason why he won't be up at some point in 26.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's competing for that backup job, right? It's between him, it's between McIver, Susac, and I would say Austin wins.
Yeah. And again, there's other than the fact that Susac is very, very young, and it's always tough to pigeonhole the young kids in that backup role. But this is probably his lot in life, at least his lot on this roster. So yeah, I can absolutely see him being in the mix. And I will tell you one name I do disagree with you on. I'm a little higher than you might be on. I still got some faith in our boy Osvaldo Bido.
Okay.
I know that he was one of those guys that a lot of people said, hey, could be a breakthrough candidate. I believe he broke camp this past season as the A's number 3 guy.
Guys, yeah.
And it just didn't come for him there. And they sent him down, they brought him back, and he was pretty serviceable out of the bullpen as a long guy. I honestly might give him another look as a starter in the spring, but if it doesn't come to pass there, I think there's some value. I think there's some value with that kid. Maybe a 2-inning guy, maybe a mop-up guy. I don't know, but I think that there's still something there that the A's could possibly exploit. So I'm not entirely ready to give up on that kid yet. Plus the hair is spectacular. I'm here for the 5-foot-long braids all day.
Yeah. Question: How do you think Kotsay handled the bullpen?
I'm glad you asked. I've got my issues with Kotsay as a manager. One of my biggest issues over the years has been his bullpen management. Kotsay can be very good at managing a bullpen, but he's very good when everybody has a set role, and he can kind of push the buttons with a little bit of predictability, a little bit of consistency, knowing who he's going to go to. And when guys get hurt, when guys get demoted, when guys struggle, Kotsay doesn't always turn the knobs the right way. I will give credit where credit is due. I thought Kotsay did a phenomenal job last year with the bullpen, particularly after the Mason Miller trade when the A's effectively had no closer. And Kotsay was tasked with basically playing the matchups, finding the hot hand. He had Hogan Harris in there in high leverage innings, and it worked. And
I like Hogan Harris. I've been a big Hogan Harris guy.
Oh, dude, I was just blown away. I did not see this coming.
Hogan Harris, I was high on the beginning of the season, and he just seems like he's always, and he got his chance. I was hoping they'd be more consistent and give him that closer job after Mason Miller left, because no one else was really, stepped up for that, and he decided to go with the committee type of deal.
Yeah. But you know what? to Katse's credit, it kind of worked. And I was like, Michael Kelly would come in, Tyler Ferguson would come in.
Yeah.
They weren't always they weren't always throwing strikes. The command kind of drifted in and out. But I think for the most part, Katse did the one thing that he has struggled with during his entire tenure. He turned chicken crap into chicken salad. He took this bullpen that was this hodgepodge of mismatched parts, and he made them into something that was, particularly in those late summer series against contending teams, guys who could come out there and shut down other teams' best hitters. So now, again, to be clear, as you know, bullpen success, relief pitcher success, it's fluid from year to year. There's no guarantee that any of these guys are going to carry it over into 2026. The top tier relievers and closers, those guys can, the Eckersleys, the Hoffmans, those guys, from years past, the great ones can. But generally speaking, relief pitchers, it's a roll of the dice. You come in and you hope that they can keep that consistency going. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I think they've got a lot of really good, really interesting pieces. And if they can kind of suss out, the 7 or 8 or 9 arms that are going to be part of that bullpen in 26, that's half the battle.
Yeah, right. Aaron, let's go back in time a little bit. What made you be an A's fan, and what'd you think of everything going on with Oakland, the move, all that good stuff, or not so good stuff?
Yeah, well, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. I became an A's fan by way of the Oakland Raiders in October of 1980. So 45 years ago this month, the Raiders played the Steelers, the defending Super Bowl champion Steelers, Monday Night Football. It was the first football game I ever watched on television, and it was one of those crazy back and forth, high scoring, high octane games. The Raiders won like 45-34. And that was the season that they ran the table. They were the first wild card team to make the Super Bowl, the first wild card team to win the Super Bowl. And when they did, 7-year-old Aaron was like, hey, I'm a fan of all teams from Oakland from this point going forward. I grew up in Long Beach,
Is that right?
Just outside of LA. So for me, geography, didn't matter. I was just an A's fan. I was an Oakland fan. So I found out the A's, that Oakland had a baseball team, glommed onto the A's. We talked about it. That was that great 81 team that started out great and made the playoffs, the strike-shortened season. And they had Ricky, and I never looked back. And as far as everything that's kind of going on currently with the team, I'm like a lot of A's fans. I'm bummed. I consider the Coliseum, my second home. I took my son up there. We fly up there a couple times a year to go to games. I went to the last game in Oakland, brokenhearted, as a lot of A's fans are. And to be very, very clear, I don't begrudge any A's fan who aggrieved, lapsed, is done with the A's, is done with baseball. I get it. I understand it. But for me, it always comes back to the players. And for me, I love the players more than whatever antipathy I have for ownership and for Major League Baseball. Players didn't ask for any of this. They're out there trying to make the best of a very difficult situation. Yeah. And dude, this past season, I'm 52, man. And when I saw Denzel Clark in Anaheim scale that wall and just defy gravity, I nearly jumped through my ceiling. And dude, there's nothing else that gives me that feeling, man. It's like just all of it. Watching Jacob Wilson just flick hits where the fielders ain't. Watching Langoliers hit balls 10,000 feet. We talked about Luis Morales and his filthy stuff. It's just all of these things. Just trace it all back, straight line, all the way back to like Ricky and his swagger and style and Stu's death stare and all that stuff. For me, it's so deep in my DNA that I can't give it up, man. I can't turn it off. I watched nearly every game 2 years ago when they lost 112.
Yeah, right.
I watched nearly every game this year when they won 76. They lost 20 of 21, and I'm trudging in front of the TV like going, okay, this is gonna break the streak tonight, right? But again, I like I said, I get it. I understand the fans that are hurt and heartbroken. But for me, the players still bring me joy. I've never worn a jersey with the owner's name on the back. Even the Haas family, the best owners the team's ever had. I've never been there for the ownership. It's always been the players, and
haven't seen them on the starting lineup card every time.
I'm going to keep being there for the players. I just love these guys, and it's an exciting young team, tremendously likable, and I'm super excited for where this is going to end up.
We will end it like that.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB game night, every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB game night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast.